Imagine moving into your dream home, only to discover you're not alone. From phantom chefs to ghostly governesses, some of the UK's biggest celebrities have lived through real hauntings, and what happened in their homes will send chills down your spine. These aren't just urban legends, these are bone-chilling encounters that left even the rich and famous terrified to stay. So grab a blanket, turn up the volume, and prepare to uncover the 10 most haunted homes of UK celebrities, where the horrors were so real, the owners never wanted to return. If you love real ghost stories, subscribe now. We uncover creepy celeb hauntings every week. 1. Simon Cowell's former mansion, London. Simon Cowell, the famous music producer and X Factor judge, once lived in a luxurious mansion in London that was said to be haunted. The house, located in an upscale area, had a dark history before Cowell moved in. Previous owners and staff reported strange happenings, and even Cowell himself admitted he felt something unnatural in the home. The most common ghostly sightings were of a shadowy figure moving through the halls, especially at night. Cowell's housekeepers and guests claimed to hear footsteps when no one was around. Doors would open and close by themselves, and some people felt an eerie presence watching them. One of the most frightening incidents happened when a staff member saw a ghostly woman in old-fashioned clothing standing in one of the bedrooms before she suddenly vanished. Cowell didn't believe in ghosts at first, but after living there, he changed his mind. He once told reporters that he woke up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was pressing down on his chest, a classic sign of a supernatural attack. He also said his bedroom door would unlock itself, even though he always kept it locked for safety. His dogs would sometimes bark at empty corners of the house, as if they could see something invisible. The house's haunted reputation became so strong that Cowell eventually decided to move out. He never gave a direct reason, but friends said he was uncomfortable with the unexplained events. The new owners also reported strange occurrences, making people believe the ghost never left. Some say the spirit could be a past resident who died tragically or a restless soul attached to the land. Even though Simon Cowell is a tough and logical person, his haunted house experience made him admit that some things in life can't be explained. The mansion remains one of the UK's most famous celebrity ghost stories, proving that even the rich and famous can't escape a real haunting. 2. Harry Styles' childhood home, Cheshire. Harry Styles, the famous singer from One Direction, grew up in a quiet village in Cheshire, England. His childhood home, a cozy red brick house, looks normal from the outside, but those who have lived there or visited tell a different story. Many believe the house is haunted by a ghost from the Victorian era, and even Harry's family had strange experiences while living there. The ghost is said to be the spirit of a woman who once lived in the house long ago. People claim to have seen her wearing old-fashioned clothes, standing in the hallway or looking out of the windows. Some say they've heard soft footsteps upstairs when no one else was home. Harry's mother, Anne Twist, once talked about hearing unexplained noises, like furniture moving by itself. She even joked that the ghost was tidying up the house at night. One of the creepiest stories happened when a family friend was staying over. They woke up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was watching them. When they opened their eyes, they saw a shadowy figure standing near the bed before it suddenly disappeared. Another time, a babysitter refused to come back after hearing whispers in empty rooms. Even Harry's sister, Gemma, mentioned feeling a strange presence in certain parts of the house. Harry himself never spoke much about the ghost, but his family believed the spirit was friendly. They nicknamed her, the Lady in White, and said she never caused harm, just small, spooky moments. Some paranormal investigators think the ghost might be connected to the house's history, possibly a former resident who never left. Others say the land itself could be haunted, with energy from the past still lingering. After Harry became famous, fans often visited the house, hoping to catch a glimpse of him, or maybe even the ghost. The family eventually moved out, but the stories about the haunting stayed. The new owners have also reported odd happenings, like lights turning on and off by themselves and cold spots in certain rooms. Whether the ghost is real or just a legend, Harry Styles' childhood home remains one of the UK's most talked about haunted celebrity houses, proving that even a pop star's past can have a few chills. 3. Adeles' Sussex Mansion. Adele, the world-famous singer known for her powerful voice, once lived in a grand mansion in Sussex that had more than just luxury, it had ghosts. The sprawling estate, hidden among tall trees and rolling hills, looked peaceful from the outside, but those who stayed there reported strange and unsettling experiences. Adele herself admitted she felt uneasy in the house, especially at night, when unexplained noises and shadows made it hard to relax. The most common reports were of doors slamming shut on their own, even when no windows were open to create a draft. Housekeepers claimed to hear faint singing or whispering in empty rooms, a chilling detail considering Adele's musical career. One staff member swore they saw a shadowy figure standing at the end of a hallway, only for it to vanish when they approached. Another time, a guest woke up to the sound of someone walking around their bed, but when they turned on the lights, no one was there. Adele, who is usually private about her personal life, once mentioned in an interview that she believed the house was haunted. She said her son would sometimes talk to someone in his room, even though he was alone. She also described feeling an eerie presence in certain parts of the house, like the basement and an old upstairs bedroom. At first, she tried to brush it off, but the strange events kept happening. Objects would move overnight, lights would flicker without explanation, and the temperature would suddenly drop in certain spots, as if something unseen was passing through. Paranormal investigators who looked into the house's history found records of past residents who had died there, including an elderly woman who had loved music. Some believe her spirit never left, drawn to the sound of Adele's singing. Others think the land itself might hold older, darker energy, with stories of strange happenings dating back decades before Adele moved in. After a few years, Adele decided to sell the house, though she never publicly said it was because of the ghosts. The new owners have also reported odd occurrences, keeping the mansion's haunted reputation alive. Whether it's the ghost of a music lover or something more mysterious, Adele's Sussex home remains one of the UK's most intriguing celebrity ghost stories, proof that even fame and fortune can't keep the supernatural away. For Ozzy Osbourne's Buckinghamshire home. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary rock star known as the Prince of Darkness, lived in a haunted Buckinghamshire mansion that even scared him, and that's saying something. The sprawling 16th-century estate, called the Old Mill House, had all the ingredients for a classic ghost story: creaky floors, shadowy corners, and a long history of strange happenings. While Ozzy made his name singing about darkness and the supernatural, he never expected to encounter real ghosts in his own home. The most famous spirit in the house was known as the Grey Lady, a ghostly woman in old-fashioned clothes who would appear near the fireplace before vanishing into thin air. Ozzy's wife, Sharon, once saw her clearly and described her as having a sad, pale face. The family's dogs would often bark at empty spaces or refuse to enter certain rooms, as if sensing something humans couldn't see. Staff members reported hearing whispers in empty hallways and feeling sudden cold spots that couldn't be explained. One of the creepiest incidents happened when Ozzy was alone in the house. He heard loud footsteps coming from the attic above him, but when he went to check, there was nobody there, and no way an animal could have made such heavy sounds. Another time, doors would slam shut with tremendous force, even though no windows were open to create drafts. What made these events especially frightening was that they often happened during the day, not just at night. The Osbornes eventually called in paranormal investigators, who recorded strange voices and unexplained temperature drops throughout the house. Some researchers believed the ghost might be connected to the property's history as a mill, possibly the spirit of a worker who died there long ago. Others thought there might be multiple spirits in the house, including a mischievous presence that liked to move objects around when no one was looking. After several years of living with these unexplained events, the Osbornes decided to move out. While Ozzy has faced many scary things in his life, the real ghosts in his old home proved too much even for the Prince of Darkness. The house's haunted reputation continues to this day, with new owners reporting similar strange occurrences, proving that some places never let go of their past, no matter who lives there. 5. Kate Middleton and Prince William's Anmer Hall, Norfolk. Anmer Hall, the Norfolk country house gifted to Prince William and Kate Middleton by Queen Elizabeth II, hides a spectral secret behind its elegant Georgian facade. While the royal couple uses this 18th-century mansion as a peaceful retreat from public life, staff and visitors have reported unsettling encounters that suggest they might not be the only residents. The most persistent ghost story involves sightings of a sorrowful woman in white wandering the corridors, particularly near the grand staircase and nursery areas. Servants working late at night have heard the faint sound of a woman crying coming from empty rooms, with some claiming to have seen a pale figure in old-fashioned clothing drifting through walls. One housekeeper reported making a bed in the guest wing only to return minutes later finding the sheets mysteriously crumpled as if someone had been lying there. The Duke and Duchess themselves have never publicly commented on the hauntings, but palace insiders whisper that their young children sometimes speak of an invisible lady who watches them play. The ghostly activity seems concentrated in the oldest parts of the house, particularly around what was once the servants' quarters. Paranormal investigators who discreetly examined the property suggest the spirit may be connected to a tragic event in the home's Victorian past, when a young governess reportedly took her own life after being dismissed under scandalous circumstances. Local legends tell how she vowed to never leave the house that had been her home for 15 years. Cold spots appear suddenly in certain rooms even during summer, and security cameras have occasionally captured unexplained shadows moving through hallways when the house is empty. During renovations in 2015, workers refused to stay after dark following incidents of tools disappearing and strange whispers coming from behind freshly installed walls. While the royal family maintains their usual dignified silence about such matters, the persistent reports from staff and the property's dark history continue to fuel speculation that Anmer Hall remains home to more than just living royals. The haunting appears harmless but persistent, a quiet reminder that even houses gifted by queens come with their own unseen histories. 6 Robbie Williams Wiltshire Manor. Robbie Williams' sprawling Wiltshire Manor, Compton Bassett House, carries ghostly secrets that even the famous singer couldn't ignore. The 19th-century mansion, set on 70 acres of countryside, looks like a peaceful retreat but hides a much darker side. Staff and visitors have reported spine-chilling encounters that suggest the property is home to several spirits, including a particularly active ghostly nurse who roams the halls. The most famous apparition is said to be a Victorian-era nurse dressed in old-fashioned medical clothing. She's been spotted multiple times in the upstairs corridors, especially near what used to be the house's sick room. Robbie himself admitted he once saw a shadowy figure of a woman standing at the foot of his bed late at night before she disappeared into thin air. His wife, Ada Field, refused to sleep in certain rooms after hearing unexplained footsteps and feeling an invisible presence watching her. The couple's children have also spoken about the kind lady who visits their rooms at night, though no living person was there. Beyond the nurse, other strange occurrences plague the mansion. Doors lock and unlock by themselves, lights flicker without explanation, and cold spots appear suddenly even in warm rooms. Workers renovating the house reported tools going missing only to reappear in strange places, like neatly arranged in the center of a room no one had entered. One contractor quit after hearing clear, whispered voices coming from an empty basement. The activity seems strongest in the oldest parts of the house, particularly near the original servants' quarters and the grand staircase. Paranormal investigators who visited the property believe the nurse might be connected to the house's history as a private medical facility during World War I. Others suggest she could be the spirit of a live-in caregiver who died tragically on the property. Some staff members claim there are actually multiple ghosts, including a mischievous child spirit that moves objects and plays with light switches. While Robbie initially laughed off the ghost stories, the constant strange events eventually made him take them seriously. The family has since moved out, though they never officially stated the hauntings as the reason. New owners and visitors continue to report unusual activity, keeping Compton Bassett House's reputation as one of England's most haunted celebrity homes alive. Whether it's the sad nurse, playful child spirit, or something more mysterious, the mansion proves that even massive wealth and fame can't keep the supernatural away. 7 Jimmy Page's Tower House, London. Jimmy Page, the legendary Led Zeppelin guitarist, owns one of London's most famously haunted houses, the eerie Tower House in Holland Park. This Gothic-style mansion, built in 1875, has a dark history that seems to cling to its ornate walls like the ivy covering its exterior. The previous owner, actor Richard Harris, claimed he fled the house because of terrifying supernatural activity, and Paige himself has experienced strange occurrences that go far beyond normal explanations. The house's most famous ghost is said to be the spirit of William Burgess, the original architect who designed the home and died there under mysterious circumstances. Visitors and staff report seeing a shadowy figure wearing Victorian clothing wandering the halls, particularly near the library where Burgess spent much of his time. Paige has mentioned hearing phantom footsteps following him through empty corridors and the sound of someone breathing right behind him when no one was there. The temperature in certain rooms drops suddenly for no reason, and many people feel an overwhelming sense of being watched, especially in the tower bedroom where Burgess allegedly died. One of the creepiest stories involves the house's antique mirrors. Multiple guests have reported seeing ghostly faces reflected behind them in the glass, faces that disappear when they turn around. A former housekeeper refused to work after midnight because she kept seeing movement in mirrors from the corner of her eye. Paige's musician friends who stayed over told stories of waking up to find all their equipment had been unplugged during the night, with no logical explanation. The basement is considered the most active area, where many hear whispering voices and the sound of dragging footsteps coming from empty rooms. The haunting might be connected to Paige's well-known interest in the occult. Some paranormal investigators believe the house acts as a magnet for supernatural energy because of its unusual architecture and the strange rituals that may have taken place there over the years. Others think Burgess' spirit remains tied to his greatest creation, unable to move on from the masterpiece he built. Whatever the cause, the Tower House continues to be a hotspot of paranormal activity, proving that even rock legends can't escape a real haunting in their own home. Paige still owns the property but rarely stays there overnight, preferring to keep his distance from whatever shares the house with him. 8. Gordon Ramsay's London Home. Gordon Ramsay's London home hides a chilling secret behind its modern kitchen and celebrity glamour. The fiery TV chef, known for shouting at contestants on Hell's Kitchen, found himself facing something even he couldn't intimidate, a ghostly presence that seemed particularly interested in his professional domain. Staff and family members reported strange occurrences focused around the kitchen area, where unexplained phenomena suggested the spirit of a former chef might still be lingering in the home. The most common reports involved kitchen equipment behaving strangely when no one was nearby. Pots and pans would rattle on their hooks without any breeze or movement to explain it. Several assistants claimed to hear the distinct sound of chopping coming from the kitchen in the middle of the night, only to find all knives securely stored and no evidence of cooking activity. Ramsay himself once walked into his kitchen to find the gas burners turned on full blast, despite nobody having been in the house for hours. His wife Tana refused to be in the kitchen alone after repeatedly feeling an icy cold presence standing directly behind her. The haunting seemed to have a sense of humor matching Ramsay's own fiery personality. On multiple occasions, perfectly prepared dishes would mysteriously go missing only to reappear later in strange places, like a fully plated dessert found sitting untouched in a hallway closet. The family's dogs would often bark and growl at empty corners of the kitchen, their fur standing on end as if facing an invisible intruder. One particularly frightening incident occurred when a visiting chef saw a shadowy figure wearing what looked like old-fashioned chef's white standing by the stove, which vanished when he blinked. Local historians discovered the house was built on land that once held a small restaurant in the 1920s, where a chef had died in a kitchen fire. Paranormal investigators suggested this might explain why the activity centered around cooking areas and why the presence seemed to have culinary knowledge. Others believed it could be connected to Ramsay's own career, as if his intense energy in the kitchen attracted or awakened something from the past. While Ramsay initially joked about his ghostly sous chef, the frequent disturbances eventually became too much. The family moved out after several years, though they never publicly confirmed the hauntings as the reason. The current owners continue to report strange kitchen occurrences, keeping alive the legend of the phantom chef who apparently still believes he runs the kitchen in Gordon Ramsay's former home. Whether it's a residual energy from the past or something more intelligent, the haunting proves that even world-famous chefs can't always be master of their own domain when the supernatural gets involved. 9. Daniel Craig's former Regent's Park home. Daniel Craig's former Regent's Park home carries ghostly secrets that even 007 couldn't escape. Before becoming the world's most famous James Bond, the actor lived in a beautiful but eerie apartment where strange occurrences left him and visitors feeling unsettled. The historic building, dating back to the early 1900s, has long been rumored to be haunted by the spirit of a former resident who met a tragic end. The most common reports involve unexplained footsteps pacing the hallway at night when the apartment was empty. Craig mentioned waking up multiple times to the sound of someone walking through his living room, only to find all doors locked and no signs of intrusion. His guests often complained about feeling watched, particularly in the master bedroom where many reported an overwhelming sense of sadness. One visiting friend swore they saw the shadowy outline of a man standing in the corner of the bedroom late at night, which disappeared when they turned on the lights. The bathroom seemed to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. Several people reported the shower turning on by itself, with the water inexplicably going from scalding hot to freezing cold within seconds. Craig's housekeeper refused to clean the apartment alone after encountering a strange mist that formed near the antique mirror before slowly fading away. The actor himself once found all the kitchen cabinets wide open when he returned home, despite having closed them securely before leaving. Neighbors in the building shared stories about hearing phantom piano music coming from Craig's apartment when he wasn't home. This was particularly chilling because the building records showed a previous tenant, a musician, had died suddenly in the same apartment decades earlier. Paranormal investigators suggested this could explain why the activity seemed most intense around the old piano corner of the living room, where cold spots frequently formed and electronics would malfunction without cause. What made the haunting especially disturbing was its unpredictable nature. Unlike many ghost stories that follow patterns, the phenomena in Craig's former home occurred at random times, sometimes going months without incident before suddenly restarting. The actor eventually moved out, though he never publicly stated why. Subsequent tenants have reported similar experiences, particularly the sound of phantom footsteps and the feeling of an unseen presence standing close behind them in certain rooms. Whether it's the spirit of the tragic musician or some other restless energy, Daniel Craig's former home remains one of London's lesser-known but genuinely haunted celebrity residences, proving that even James Bond can't always escape a supernatural encounter. 10. J.K. Rowling's Edinburgh Mansion. J.K. Rowling's Edinburgh Mansion hides a supernatural secret that could come straight from one of her Harry Potter books. The famous author, who created the magical world of Hogwarts, found herself living in a real-life haunted house where strange occurrences began soon after she moved in. The grand Victorian property, with its towering gables and shadowy corners, seems to be home to more than just the living. The most disturbing reports involve sightings of an old woman dressed in black who appears suddenly in doorways before vanishing. Housekeepers have reported finding chairs mysteriously pulled out from tables as if someone had been sitting there, and the sound of rustling skirts moving through empty hallways. Rowling herself once woke to see a dark figure standing at the foot of her bed, its features unclear but its presence undeniably real. The author's daughter has spoken about hearing someone humming a tuneless song in the nursery when no one else was home. The library appears to be the most active area of the house. Books frequently fall from shelves by themselves, often opening to particular pages as if being read by an invisible visitor. Several guests have reported feeling an icy hand brush against their neck while reading in the evening. One of Rowling's assistants refused to work late after encountering all the desk drawers opened simultaneously with tremendous force, despite no one being near them. The fireplace in this room sometimes lights itself, with flames appearing without matches or kindling to start them. Local historians discovered the house was once owned by a strict governess who reportedly died in the upstairs bedroom. Paranormal investigators believe this might explain why the ghostly activity centers around areas connected to reading and children. Some have suggested Rowling's own creative energy, particularly while writing about magical worlds, might have awakened or strengthened the haunting. Others think the spirit could be drawn to the author's imagination, perhaps trying to communicate stories of its own. Despite the eerie occurrences, Rowling stayed in the house for many years, even joking that she had her own personal ghost. However, staff members and visitors continued experiencing unexplained events that left them unsettled. The current owners still report strange happenings, particularly the sound of pages turning in empty rooms and the persistent smell of old perfume in certain areas. Whether it's the ghost of the strict governess or some other presence, J.K. Rowling's former Edinburgh home proves that sometimes truth can be stranger than fiction, even for the woman who created the wizarding world. The Haunting remains one of Scotland's most intriguing celebrity ghost stories, showing that magic and mystery can exist in real life as well as in books.